to Last of the Romans NCAA 25 college football tutorial on just how to play football and how to play this game for beginners, for people that have very little experience or any whatever level you're at. I think you should be able to have a decent game after these videos. Um, Okay, so I've gone over the basics of how to, you know, uh, throw the ball, how to run the ball, what positions there are. We're going to try to get more in depth. We're going to reinforce the skills that you've learned in the previous video. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start a dynasty, I think, and then probably a road to glory as well, just to try and get you as immersed in the game as possible. And you can play either of these modes as much as you want. I prefer Dynasty. Um, so let's start with getting a Dynasty set up. I think I'm going to make it single player. Yeah, I don't need to um, change that. I'll use active roster, although I can't edit the roster apparently, so I don't know what the point of that is, and you can't really import or download any other rosters, so I don't know why it's even offering that as an option. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to look into that, but it didn't look like I could edit any of the ratings, even though I wanted to. Okay, so we've gotten to the setup screen. We're going to go to Dynasty Settings. You're going to want to set it to whatever skill level that you feel comfortable on. Likely for a beginner, varsity, maybe freshman. Yeah, the weakest is freshman. So if you're like really not confident and you just want to win, start with freshman. When you're winning more than like 50% of your games, like more than 60, 65% of your games, I guess, you can move it up to varsity. And then, when you reach that threshold again, take it up to All American. And then if that becomes easy as well, Heisman. Heisman is some people say it cheats and that it's not fair. That is not my experience with it. It seems pretty decent, and I get good games out of it. You can turn off coach firing if you don't feel like you want the risk of being fired. XP, that's up to you. You can make it faster if you want your coach to develop faster. That might be something a beginner would want to do. And then if you're like more experienced, you might want to make it slower to make it more realistic, but I'm fine with it on normal. I'm going to have any player editable. That's really a lie. It doesn't let you actually edit the ratings, even though it says it does. Injuries, I'll leave it on. Wear and tear on. Injuries and wear and tear are part of football, and I think that it's good to have it on. It tests the depth of your roster and your ability to fill it out recruiting, um, and tests your resolve on red shirts if you have injuries on, because you might need to take someone off of red shirt in order to fill a hole in your roster. So we'll have full control, league advancement manuals fine. I like to recruit and I like to do the progression, so I'm going to leave those on off. We will then be choosing a team, and so I'm gonna actually back out of this so that I can explain to you all of the teams. um, Maybe not all of them, but I'm gonna try to help you find what team uh, you want to uh, play with. And we'll go alphabetically, I suppose, and I'll make this the whole video pretty much. I think just helping you find a team. Um, So something that you're going to want to prioritize is a good running back, I believe. Um, you might want a great quarterback as well, especially as a beginner. So yeah, look at the quarterback, look at the running back, look at the teams overall. Uh, if you like the logo, if you like the aesthetic, the mascot, whatever it is that you like about the team, just, attach to whatever you feel like. I'll try to explain what some teams are like to give you a more informed opinion of what your favorite team might be. Um, we'll just go down the list, and I'm sure uh, this isn't going to be like a hugely watched video, but it might help somebody. So Air Force is a service academy. It is literally our Air Force's football team. Um, wouldn't really recommend playing them. We've got Akron, which is a small, well, I don't know if it's small, but it's a place in Ohio. Again, wouldn't recommend it. Alabama, now that's an interesting one. Alabama was dominant in college football for a while due to their coach, Nick Saban, who was a fantastic, excellent leader and great football coach. And they're a very good team. They're currently coached by a different coach, Kalen DeBauer, after Saban retired. Kalen DeBauer was the head coach for Washington and did really well and should be a good coach for Alabama. Alabama is still a powerhouse school. Uh, they're the Crimson Tide is their what their mascot is. Although I think they use like an elephant for a mascot. I'm not really sure about that. But I do know that they're called the Crimson Tide. Um, they do have a good quarterback in Jalen Milroe. They've got a good future quarterback in sophomore Ty Simpson. They've got a good couple of running backs. You might also want to look at wide receivers. They're decent there. Decent at tight end as well. You might also want to look at line. Uh, 87, 91, 92, 91, 81. Very good offensive line, really. Anyways, let's move on. Appalachian State is a small school. They have a very good quarterback, though. Arizona has one of the best young quarterbacks in sophomore Noah Fafita. They are the Wildcats, and yeah, most of your games are going to be the Fafita show, seeing how well you can use him, and he is very good. They do have a good running back. Their wide receivers, they've got one of the best wide receivers in college football, a likely first round selection in the NFL draft. Tetroa McMillan. I don't know how to say his first name, but he is very good, at least for college. Um, then we have Arizona State. They are the Sun Devils. They're a smaller school. They do have a good running back, not good receivers, so that would be a riskier take. Arkansas, they have a former Boise State quarterback in Taylon Green, who is a junior, and he is a scrambling quarterback. He'll maneuver around. He's fast, 91 speed, so he can take off and run the option. And they have a running back, Jaquindon Jackson, who's pretty good. They've also got a good wide receiver in Andrew Strong and a really good tight end, one of the best tight ends in college football, Luke Hatz, who is a sophomore. Uh, they are the Arkansas Razorbacks. Um, yep, and they're kind of in the pits right now. They're not doing too well. Their coach is probably going to get fired and replaced with a joke of a coach, Bobby Petrino. But hopefully they have a good season, and that's not the case. Arkansas State is the smaller of the Arkansas schools. You probably want to avoid them. They don't really have much. I mean, they're okay. Malik Hornsby's not a bad wide receiver, but they're not going to win a whole lot of games. Army is another service academy. You'll probably want to avoid them. Auburn has a quarterback named Peyton Thorne, who's a senior. I think he should be rated better than this. Again, though, I can't change the ratings, I don't think. Yeah, it's not letting me. Um, they do have a really good running back, Jarquez Hunter. They've also got a good tight end, and that's the Auburn. Yeah, I cannot think of what their mascot is. Anyways, Ball State, smaller school. You'll want to avoid them. They have a terrible running back. Baylor has DeQuan Finn, who's a very interesting quarterback, but he is a senior, so you only get 1 year with him, and it's a smaller school. Boise State's in Idaho. I actually think Madsen won this quarterback battle. It's not going to be Malachi Nelson. Uh, yeah, they do have a really good running back. Um, no good receivers, so you would probably have to end up running the ball quite a bit, and they're a smaller school anyways. Boston College is a cool university, just not a lot of talent. Bowling Green, smaller school. Buffalo, another small school. BYU is I believe that is well, whatever I'm trying to say. Uh, they're the Mormon University, I believe, um, in Utah, and I don't think all their players are Mormon, but they typically have a pretty decent football team. Yeah, it's California. They're the Golden Bears. They've got a 81 senior. They got an 80 Mendoza sophomore, so he can develop into a good quarterback. He might be worth something. And they have an excellent running back in Jaden Ott, who you can hopefully keep after his junior year and get an extra year on. And yeah, he's really good. And if you want a good running back, that might be the team. They're not that big or great of a school. You'll have a harder time recruiting, um, but they'll be fun to begin with. Central Michigan's a small school. Uh, Charlotte, another small school. Cincinnati's a decent sized school. They do have Drogosh, a freshman who's a 76 who might develop. They do have a good running back in Kiner. They do have, that's about it. They're the Cincinnati Bearcats, I believe. Clemson Tigers. They've got Klubnik, who's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He is a junior. This is a good team. Vizina, a freshman. Maffa, a good running back. They've got decent receivers and a very good tight end in Bringningstool. Uh, Coastal Carolina is a small school. They do have a decent. Uh, I thought, well, okay, I guess they've rated Kim pretty low. Colorado is a very controversial school. They are the Buffaloes. The leader or coach of Colorado is a guy by the name of Deion Sanders, who played in the NFL for years and was a bit of a spectacle, but an incredible player. And Colorado has some excellent players. Shadur Sanders, who is his son, Deion's son, is the top-rated quarterback in this game. So if you're looking for a good quarterback, this might be a team to look at. They do have a good running back. Well, he's an 82. They have a really good wide receiver, though, Travis Hunter, who is an excellent player. He could be in the conversation for the Heisman, I think, especially if Colorado has a good year. Because he plays both wide receiver and also cornerback. So he's extremely valuable because he can play two different positions, offense and defense. Although it's difficult to do that, it wears him down, and he's going to need to pick one to be in the NFL. But Colorado is extremely controversial because of Deion Sanders. People talk about their locker room, and they say things about it. I'm gonna stay away from that topic. Let's move on. Colorado State's pretty cool, but they're a small school. Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of talent. Fowler Nicolosi is a sophomore, though. You can develop him. He might be worth something. For Duke, they've got the former Texas quarterback Malik Murphy, sophomore. Duke is more of a basketball school. They're the Blue Devils, and Malik Murphy's got an incredible arm, but not the greatest accuracy, I'm guessing. Yeah, they're not the biggest university. They're, like I said, more of a basketball school. East Carolina Pirates, very small school. Eastern Michigan, another small school. Florida Gators were once big. They're still a good school. They're one of the most dangerous teams in college football. Graham Mertz is their quarterback. He's decent enough. He's a senior though, so you only get him for 1 year. They have Montreal Johnson as their running back. He's an 87. He's pretty good. They have a pretty good receiver in Eugene Wilson III and Badger. Boardingham is a sophomore, so he can develop into a better tight end. That's a good team, the Florida Gators, if you like them. FAU is a very small school. They're the Owls. FIU is the Panthers, another small school. FSU is a good school. They've got a great quarterback in DJ Aguglier. He's a senior, though. You only get him 1 year. I think then you're relying on Kromenhoek, freshman, if he develops, or Brocklin. For running back, they've got Rodell Williams and Lucas, who are both good, and Tawa Foley, Philly, power. No, he's an elusive back, but he's also very good. So they've got three good running backs. They've got a good wide receiver. They're the Seminoles, named after a local Native American tribe. A very good team. I do recommend FSU. Fresno, small school, do have a good quarterback. Georgia, the Bulldogs, they're a powerhouse. Carson Beck may be the best quarterback in college football. Gunnar Stockton is a great prospect, a sophomore in 80. He's going to develop, hopefully, and be better for when Beck goes to the NFL, which is after the first season. They do have Etienne, who's a good running back. They've got Robinson and Robinson at backup running backs, also very good. Wide receiver, they've got Lovett and Bell, and Ra Thomas, and Colby Young, and Humphreys. So they've got good options at wide receiver. They've got an excellent group of tight ends in Delpin, Urosek, and Lucky, to a lesser extent. And then they'll have a really good offensive line. Yeah, this is probably the premier team, the number one team, I would say, Georgia. So if you're wanting to play the front runners, if you're wanting to bully the enemies, be the Bulldogs. Georgia Southern, small school, don't have much. Georgia State, small school. They do have a decent quarterback. Uh, Georgia Tech has Haynes King, decent quarterback. Wouldn't recommend him though. Shager for Hawaii. Again, I wouldn't recommend him. Uh, Donovan Smith for Houston. Still wouldn't recommend him. They are the Cougars though. Illinois has Altmaier. I can't really recommend the Illini. I do, uh, like their uniforms and everything, but Indiana has Rourke. That's a fun one to play, I feel like. But after the first season, it's less fun because Rourke goes to the college, or to the NFL, that is. They don't really have much in the way of support for Rourke, although they do have two decent wide receivers, so maybe not. But I think their line is weak. Yeah, their left guard's weak. That's mainly it, and I don't think their defense is that good. But I do like Indiana, the Hoosiers, but they're not a premier team. Iowa has one of the best defenses. You're going to struggle on offense if you take this team. They don't have much. As you can see, they do have a great tight end. They're known for their tight ends, but their quarterbacks, not so much. Iowa State's fun, but yeah, they don't really. They're not very competitive. Rocco, their sophomore quarterback, could develop into a pretty good one, and Cole, their freshman, a 77, could also be really good. Cole's interesting because he's 6'7", which is unusually tall for a quarterback. Most quarterbacks are between like 6'2" and 6'6", I would say, usually closer to 6'5" or 4. Iowa State does have a good running back in Abu Sama the third, a sophomore, who could develop even better. They have some good wide receivers. So if you're wanting a smaller school with less stress and want to work your way up, I think Iowa State's a good option. Jacksonville State's a pretty small school. James Madison, small. Kansas is a very good option. And I think that I'm going to start a dynasty to further guide you. And Kansas is the team that I will pick. I might pick one other or maybe two others. But Kansas is the team that I would most recommend for a beginner. because they've got an excellent quarterback in Jalen Daniels. He's a 90, which is about as good as anybody. And Neal is a 92, their running back. He's extremely good. The problem with Kansas is after the first season, you're probably going to want to leave because you're going to lose both Daniels and Neal and not have anything. So I do have an alternate suggestion that I'll get to later. Um, but Kansas is definitely not a bad option to start to play your first season with. They've got an easy schedule comparatively to other teams, and they've got an excellent quarterback and running back. Kansas State has a really good quarterback in Avery Johnson, who is only a sophomore, so he can develop. Giddens is a good running back. Dylan Edwards, a pretty good running back as well, also a sophomore. So they've got some young talent. Might not be a bad option if you're looking for a smaller school. Kennesaw State, very small, very bad. Kent State, this is where, yeah, I probably shouldn't mention that, but not the biggest school, not the best school. Kentucky is a basketball school mainly. I think Vandegrift could be bumped up a bit from an 80, but I can't do that. Um, he's a junior, so he's got a bit of room to grow. They have a guy playing running back. That's the best I can say. Decent wide receivers. Yeah, Kentucky's not that great. Liberty has a very, very good quarterback in Kadon Salter, but they're a small school. They do have a really good running back too. I guess they can be, a top 25 team, but they're not really like top 15 or 10. Louisiana, small school. Louisiana Tech, small school. Louisville, decent option. They can be a top 25 team. Shao is a good quarterback relatively. Cheney at running back has a year to go, so that might be a good one to develop. Lacey's extremely good at wide receiver. I guess if you want a small school, they are the Cardinals. You might choose them, but I don't recommend them necessarily. LSU is a top 15 school, I'd say. They have Garrett Nussmeier, their quarterback, who's an 85 and pretty good. They've got, yeah, about that. Decent enough running back, decent enough group of wide receivers. Pretty good tight end. Mason Taylor is one of the best in football. College football, it is. Marshall has Cole Pennington, which is cool, but not the best team. Maryland. Marshall, by the way, I believe was the one. Hold on, no, I might be getting that wrong. I'm just gonna skip that. Maryland, small school, not much. Memphis has Seth Hennigan, who's a great quarterback, but this is a very small school. They do have Mario Anderson. I guess I shouldn't say very small school. It's just not like It's not usually a top. It's not usually a top 15 team. They're probably in the top 25-ish if they're lucky. Miami's a very good university. They are the Hurricane. Memphis, by the way, are the Tigers. Miami, again, the Hurricane. They've got a very good quarterback in Cameron Ward. They've got a pretty good running back, actually a very good running back in Damian Martinez, a good backup in Fletcher, good wide receiver in Restrepo, George as well, decent tight end. So they're not a bad option at all. Yeah, I would recommend Miami if you like their aesthetic. Miami of Ohio, though, do not recommend. Michigan is a very interesting university. They don't really have a good quarterback right now, or at least not an established one. The story about Michigan is that they won the last national championship, but people say they cheated, and there's pretty good evidence of it. Although, to be fair, it was like 3 games that they cheated in the middle of the season against some like lesser teams, anyways, and I don't think it actually affected, um, you know, them winning the championship. I don't think that it was caused by their cheating. I think it was more of a product of their desire to win. Um, but that's controversial. It's up to you. They're the Michigan Wolverines, which is pretty cool. They have cool uniforms. They've got a very good running back. They've got a really good tight end, Colston Loveland. I played them with one of my superstar franchises, which I'll show you how to set up a superstar. It's not really a franchise; it's a superstar road to glory career. Let's have a look at Michigan State. They are the Spartans. Aiden Childs, the sophomore in 81, is a very good prospect. He might develop into something special. They have an 85 at running back, 82 at wide receiver, and 87 junior Velling at tight end, who's very good. They're not a terrible option. They're, a fringe 25 team, top 25 team. Middle Tennessee is not good. Vatiatu is a good quarterback, though. I don't know about the running back. No, they don't have a good one. Minnesota, uh, yeah, they've got a great running back. I also had a road to glory where I played with Minnesota for fun. Uh, it was decent. Mississippi State. These are the Mississippi State. What is their? Yeah, I can't remember what their mascot is, but they've got an 80 quarterback, 82 at running back. I don't think they're a bad option. Although, yeah, it's not as good as I would think. Brady Cook for Missouri. Missouri is the Tigers again. Um, Brady Cook's a very good quarterback, 88. They do have a 78 backup who's a sophomore, might develop. They've got a decent group of running backs. They've got pretty good, one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in college football, Luther Burden III, a 94 overall junior. He's a cheat code. Maybe not as much as another wide receiver that I'm going to mention later, but he's incredible. They've got a decent tight end as well. Missouri is not like a top 10 team, but they're getting better. They do play in a very tough conference, the SEC, but I think they are an up-and-coming team. Navy is another service academy. NC State has a really good quarterback in Grayson McCall, but he's only there for 1 year. They are the some kind of dog. I don't remember what they're like, the Wolf Dogs or something. Um, I'm not really a big fan of their logo. Nebraska's got a pretty good quarterback and freshman Dylan Raiola, who's an 80. He's got a lot of room to grow, and he could be an excellent quarterback someday. The rest of the roster is okay. Yeah, it's not a bad choice, Nebraska, if you want to build over time. Nevada, small school. New Mexico, small school. New Mexico State, even smaller school. North Carolina, more of a basketball school. They do have a decent quarterback, Max Johnson, who's bounced around college football. They have an excellent running back in Omarion Hampton. He's very good. They have a great tight end in Nesbitt. Not the worst option, not the best option. North Texas, a small school. Northern Illinois, a very small school. Northwestern, just not good on offense. Notre Dame, they're the Fighting Irish. They're a very good school. They've got a very good quarterback in senior Riley Leonard, but you only get him for 1 year, then you'll have to move on to Minchie or Angeli, whoever develops. Love is their running back. He's very good. Price is a power elusive back. He's also very good. Payne is actually more of a power back than elusive, I think, and he's pretty good at it too. And he'll develop. You can redshirt him the first year. They've got a decent enough group of receivers. They've got an excellent tight end in Mitchell Evans. They're a very good overall team. They are a team that could be a top 10 team. I do recommend them. Ohio, small school. Ohio State, excellent school. Will Howard is a pretty good quarterback. They'll have Devin Brown to develop. Sayan as well, who's a freshman at 79. He could be very good over time. They've got an excellent group of running backs in Judkins and Henderson. They've got an excellent group of wide receivers. I think Jeremiah Smith is probably even better than what they're showing here. 84 freshman. Tight end, solid enough. Good offensive line, good defense. I definitely recommend Ohio State if you like the aesthetic. They are the Buckeyes. They are a good team. Their rival is Michigan. Oklahoma has Jackson Arnold, 85. He's a pretty good quarterback. He's only a sophomore, so he's got a lot of room to grow, and he could be the best quarterback in college at some point. Sawchuk's a good running back, has room to grow as a sophomore. Burks, Farouk, Anderson, Anthony at wide receiver, and Gibson as well. Very good group of wide receivers. Jake Roberts at tight end is pretty good. Oklahoma is definitely another school I'd recommend. Oklahoma State, however, I mean, you can definitely try them because they've got the best running back in college. Their quarterback is Bowman, not that great, but Ollie Gordon the second, junior even, is a 96 and is an excellent running back. He is, I think, the top-rated running back. So definitely, I would recommend Oklahoma State if you want a smaller school that has a dominant running back. They do also have a good receiving core. No tight end though, really. Old Dominion's a small school. Ole Miss, they have Jackson Dart, who is a senior, a 90. He is very good in this game. They have a good running back group. They have a good wide receiver group. They have a good tight end group. So yeah, Ole Miss is not a bad team. They're a top 15 team, I would say, or at least potentially. Oregon's an excellent team. They're the Ducks. Ole Miss, by the way, is the Rebels, I believe. Oregon, the Ducks, like I said, they've got one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Senior Dylan Gabriel, a 92. He has excellent awareness. He has excellent accuracy. He's got a weaker arm, but he is very accurate. He is a lefty, though, which is harder to play. They have one of the best running backs in Jordan James, who just does not fumble. They have Whittington as well. They've got a great group of receivers, really a great duo. Tez Johnson, and Evan Stewart, with Holden and Dickey behind them. They've got a really good tight end in Ferguson. I think their line's good. I think their defensive line is pretty good. Uh, their linebackers are pretty good, I think, and their secondary is too. So a good overall team. That's a top 5 team. Could be the best team in college football if they play well. But a lot of college fans will make fun of that take. They don't really respect Oregon, and I understand that. They haven't really proven themselves yet. Oregon State is the Beavers. They're a smaller school. They don't really have much. We'll move on. Penn State has Drew Allar, a junior. He's a very good quarterback in the game. They have a lot riding on him in real life. They do have a very good running back in Singleton. Also, Katron Allen. He could probably redshirt one of them. Not the best receiving core, but a great tight end. Penn State is a good team. Could be a top 10 team. Pittsburgh's a smaller school, doesn't really have all that much. Purdue's kind of smaller. It's in Indiana. They're the Boilermakers. Wouldn't really necessarily recommend them. Wouldn't really recommend the Rice Owls. Rutgers, I would probably pass on. Sam Houston, you can pass on. San Diego State, another one. San Jose State, yeah, I wouldn't play them. SMU does have Preston Stone. They're very good. They are the Mustangs. SMU, however, is a Methodist university. If that factors into your decision making, that is fine. That's up to you. They're a pretty good team overall. They're maybe like a top 50 team, top 40. Could maybe sneak into the top 25 if they have a really good run. They have an easier schedule too, so that might be another thing to consider. South Alabama is a small school. South Carolina. Now this one is really interesting. So they've got Lenora Sellers, who's only a 78. So you would think, oh, well, they don't really have that great of a quarterback, but he's a freshman as a 78. So he's got at least 2 more years of development, and he's going to jump up quite a bit in all likelihood and be a very good quarterback down the road. This might be a good team to learn the game with, because initially you're going to be really running the ball quite a bit and relying on that run game until Sellers develops, and we'll get to how to ensure that later. But running back is Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders. This is the South Carolina Gamecocks. They're a very well, they're not that big of a school, but they do have some interesting players. Sellers, like I mentioned, Rocket Sanders, very cool. Nick Harbor is maybe the most athletic guy in college football, according to Dane Brugler. He is a sophomore, an 82 wide receiver. He is extremely fast, 99 speed, 99 acceleration. This guy is a cheat code. He will get past his man, and you can bomb it to him pretty consistently. I definitely recommend South Carolina for a beginner. They do have a decent tight end pair. Southern Miss, small school. Roadmaker is kind of an interesting quarterback, but I'd skip him. Stanford hasn't been big since Harbaugh, so skip them. Syracuse has former Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord, but not a big school. TCU, Texas Christian, Horned Frogs. Not as good of a roster as I was expecting them. They usually have a better one. Temple, you can skip. Tennessee, the Volunteers has a very excellent freshman quarterback, Nico Iamaleava. I believe I'm mispronouncing that, but in any case, he's an excellent freshman. He's going to develop into probably being the best quarterback in college football in all likelihood. Uh, they have a good running back. They've got good wide receivers, or well enough, a decent tight end. Tennessee is one I would recommend. They are a top 25 team. Nico Iamaleava is a very interesting young quarterback. Texas is a premier team, top five. Quinn Ewers is maybe the best quarterback in college football. I've said that 3 times now, but that's because we don't know until we see them play this year. He's a junior, so he could stay another year, or he could transfer or whatever, but he's got Arch Manning, who is uh, kind of a legacy player, because he is Archie Manning's son, or not Archie Manning, he's Cooper Manning's son. Cooper Manning is the brother of Peyton and Eli Manning, who were quarterbacks in the NFL for many years and very successful. Peyton was at one time considered one of the greatest of all time and still is probably a top 5 quarterback. Arch Manning is a very exciting quarterback. He's an 87 freshman, so the highest rated freshman, and he will develop pretty well, you would think. It's all random for this game, which is cool. Uh, but in any case, very, I would very much recommend Texas. They've got an excellent running back in Baxter and Blue. Although in real life, both of these guys are injured, I'm pretty sure. I know Baxter tore LCL, I believe. So yeah, not as good in real life at this position, but there's no injuries at the start, so you should be good. Their wide receivers are pretty good. I really like Bond on end arounds, especially Niblak. I don't know how to say that guy's name, but the tight end is pretty good, 85. Texas A&M has a very good quarterback. They are the Texas A&M Aggies, I think. They're an 80. He's an 88. Connor Wegman. He's a sophomore, so he could develop into the best quarterback. They've got some really good running backs. Ruben Owens is a freshman, so you could redshirt him, I think. He's excellent. Good. Oh, they have Moose Muhammad. Moose Muhammad the third at wide receiver. I think he should be rated much higher, to be honest with you. I was a big fan of his father, Munson Muhammad. Uh, but yeah, you could play Texas A&M. It wouldn't be the worst. Texas State does have a really good quarterback at 85, Jordan McLeod, but they also have a good running back, Mahdi, in 89. 86s, 84 at wide receiver. Yeah, this isn't. They've got good skill positions, but they're not. They're kind of at the edge of like the top 30. They can be into the 25. I've even seen them in the playoffs, but I don't recommend it. Texas Tech doesn't really have much right now, although they do have a really good Taj Brooks at running back. Um, so that's something to consider. Really good tight ends too. Look at that, 87 and 85. Don't necessarily recommend them because they don't have a good quarterback. Toledo's a small school. Troy's a small school. Tulane is an interesting school that's also small, but can't recommend them. Tulsa's small. It's a university in Oklahoma. UAB, the Dragons or Swamp Dragons or whatever they are. Wouldn't recommend them, although their quarterback's pretty good. UCF has a really good quarterback in KJ Jefferson, a former Arkansas Razorback. They do have a really good running trio, even. Good wide receiver, decent tight end. So, yeah, that might be an option, but UCF isn't really a premier team. I wouldn't recommend it. UCLA, a pretty cool school. They're the Bruins. I like their uniforms. Yeah, they've got a really good quarterback, Ethan Garbers, 84. Decent running, well, pretty good running game, pretty good wide receivers and tight end. They're an option. I wouldn't necessarily recommend them, but They are. UConn's more of a basketball school. I wouldn't recommend them. UL Monroe is a small school in Louisiana. UMass, small school. Las Vegas, a small school. USC is a premier university, a top 10 team. Miller Moss is an 87 or an 85 junior, so he's got a year to go. Cade Fox, I believe, is a stand-in for Jordan Maya Vea. Uh, yeah, so he can develop if you're lucky. They've got two decent running backs. Zion Branch is an excellent receiver. Lake McCree is a decent tight end. They're definitely a team that you could definitely take and have success with. I really like them from an aesthetic standpoint. They're the Spartans, and yeah, they have a cool uniform. USF is a central or southern Florida. They've got a really good quarterback in Byram uh, Brown, a sophomore, 84. I wouldn't recommend them though. Utah, pretty interesting university. They're kind of an up and coming or rising team. They do have a very excellent quarterback in Cameron Rising, decent run game, good wide receiver in Dorian Singer, and a good tight end in Brant. I don't know how to say his last name. Utah State, small school. UTEP, small school. Utah, small school. Vanderbilt, small school. Virginia, not really a premier university. Yeah. Virginia Tech has drones, though. A junior 86 quarterback who's pretty cool. Yeah, they could be an option for a smaller school. I wouldn't necessarily recommend them. Bachmeyer for Wake Forest is a pretty decent quarterback, but I don't recommend that small school. Washington has Will Rogers, 85. I wish he was rated higher. I'd probably rate him higher. But he was a transfer from, I believe, Ole Miss. Washington is a very good university. They played in the championship last year and lost, but their quarterback went on to the NFL, Michael Penix Jr., to the Falcons in the first round, and so they're a bit devoid of talent because of players graduating and leaving. They also lost their excellent head coach, Kalen DeBauer, to Alabama. Washington State, small school. West Virginia has Garrett Green, which kind of makes it worth it, but still kind of a small school. Um, Western Kentucky, I'm not going to talk smack on them, but they do have Veltkamp, a sophomore 80 who could develop. I wouldn't recommend them. Western Michigan, small school. Wisconsin is an interesting school, probably one of the more up and comers as well. I would have Braden Locke rated higher. Tyler Van Dyke is their starter, 83 senior. He should be rated higher too, I think. Yeah, I think they're just underrated. Um, so I guess I couldn't recommend them for that. But they are the Badgers, and they are a pretty cool university. Wyoming, don't really recommend them. And that is the conclusion. So hopefully, if one of those connected with you, and hopefully that informed your decision in some way. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.